Good evening from the International Space Station Flight Control Room at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, where flight controllers not only here but a half a world away at the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow in the town of Korolyov are in the final stages of supporting the approach and docking, the first time ever in space station history that a docking of a Progress resupply vehicle has occurred in just 2 orbits following its launch from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. This is a view from the Progress vehicle, the 70 Progress vehicle that launched 3 hours and 9 minutes ago from Baikonur atop a Soyuz 2.1A booster. We'll talk more about the launch and recap that in just a moment. The Progress is closing in now just about 3.5 kilometers away from its destination, which is the Pirs docking compartment, the docking port on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. Docking is scheduled about 37 minutes from now. Before that takes place, when the Progress moves a bit closer into the vicinity of the International Space Station, it will conduct an automated fly-around of about 110 degrees to precisely align its forward docking probe with the Pirs docking compartment. It will put the brakes on for a short period of station keeping to allow Russian flight controllers in Korolyov to assess the alignment of that docking probe with the Pirs docking port before the automated command is issued to resume a final approach for contact and capture. The docking is scheduled at 8:39 p.m. Central Time, 9:39 p.m. Eastern Time, although there is no rule that says it couldn't occur earlier if Russian flight controllers are satisfied with what they're seeing. The Progress has been rock solid in its performance ever since its launch just over 3 hours ago. Everything has been progressing right on the money with no issues reported. All of the major rendezvous burns for the Progress have occurred as planned. This is a view of the Russian Flight Control Room in Korolyov from a balcony camera. Here in Mission Control in Houston, the Orbit 3 team of flight controllers is on console. They have been watching over all of the activities associated with the Progress's launch and its approach for docking that is coming up a short time from now. Flight Director Mary Lawrence is in charge of the flight control team here in Houston. A short time ago, she took a poll of her flight controllers and received a go from all of the positions for station systems to support the forthcoming approach and docking of the Progress. Also on console at this hour is visiting vehicle officer Tom Erkenswick, who has been he is a prime Russian specialist in all of Russian vehicle operations. He has been on console from the very beginning of the planning for this 2-orbit rendezvous, which is a first in space station history for the International Space Station, to provide an expedited test capability to see how Russian vehicles can get to the station in the fastest period of time for future cargo and crew launches to the international outpost. The Progress is carrying 1,168 pounds of propellant, 114 pounds of oxygen and air, 926 pounds of water, and 3,450 pounds of dry cargo for a total of just over 5,600 pounds of supplies, just a shy of 3 full tons of cargo that will be delivered to the Expedition 56 crew on board the International Space Station a short time from now.
Ground 1, go ahead. 2 kilometers, 6.7 meters per second, range rate. Copy.
Three hours and 13 minutes ago in the Central Asian desert at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, the Soyuz 2.1A booster completed a flawless countdown with its liftoff from Site 31 at the Cosmodrome. The engines lit up, turbo pumps came up to flight speed, and liftoff occurred right on time at 4:51 and 34 seconds p.m. Central Time, 3:51 and 34 seconds a.m. Baikonur time on Tuesday morning at the spaceport in the Central Asian desert. The Soyuz climbed out to the northeast from the Baikonur Cosmodrome's launch site, and less than 10 minutes later, it reached its preliminary orbit, separating from the third stage of the Soyuz booster. Moments later, the appendages, the solar arrays and navigational antennas all deployed as planned, and the Progress began its short trek to the International Space Station. At the time of launch, the station was flying just to the southwest of the Baikonur Cosmodrome over northern Uzbekistan, about 370 statute miles behind the Progress at liftoff. During the Progress's climb to orbit, the station leapfrogged over the Progress, and at the time of third stage shutdown and spacecraft separation, 8 minutes 45 seconds after launch, the Progress was about 1,000 miles behind the station, and again began its inexorable trek for this two-orbit rendezvous, a novel two-orbit rendezvous that will further prove the capability of expedited launches and dockings of both cargo and crew to the International Space Station. We're now just over 1 kilometer separating the Progress from the International Space Station, closing at a rate of 3.8 meters per second. And there's a view from the Progress's television camera showing the International Space Station. You can see in the lower left-hand corner the two values, the distance between the Progress and the station, 1.1 kilometers, and the closure rate underneath that of 3.8 meters per second. At the time of contact and capture, coming up a short time from now, at the time that the forward docking probe comes into contact with the Pirs docking compartment, the Progress will have slowed to a glacial 1/10 of a meter per second to enable the relative motion between the two vehicles to dampen out. That forward docking probe will retract to basically pull in the station to a hard mate between the two docking interfaces, and that will then set the stage for the Progress hooks to close at the docking interface. That will be followed by 3 hours worth of leak checks by the two Russian cosmonauts on board, Oleg Artemyev and Sergei Prokopyev, before the hatches are open to the Progress 70 cargo craft late this evening.
BPS initial. Confirmed. BPS initial. LEDs confirmed. We copy all.
Standing by in the Zvezda service module at a robotic workstation are the two cosmonauts, Artemyev and Prokopyev. They would be ready to take over manual control of the flying of the Soyuz under what is called the Toru system, or the telerobotically operated rendezvous system, in the unlikely event that the Corps' automated rendezvous system would encounter a problem at this point. However, the Corps has been rock solid in providing navigational data to the Progress's onboard computers, which is honing in for its docking a short time from now, some 30 minutes from now, to the Pirs docking compartment.
Down. All LEDs are on. Yacht to the right.
Есть загорание светодиод, Софья.
All LEDs confirmed.
Влево.
Yacht to the left.
Есть загорание, соответствует светодиод.
Confirm all LEDs are on.
Тест РУ провел без замечаний.
RHC test complete, no issues to report. Copy. Please perform translational hand controller test at this time.
Рот вверх.
THC going up.
Есть загорание соответствующих.
All LEDs are on.
And this view now from truss cameras on the International Space Station showing the Progress vehicle. Rather remarkable that just 3 hours and 18 minutes ago it was on the launch pad at the Baikonur Cosmodrome, and now, just 2 orbits later, it's closing in for the completion of an expedited journey to deliver almost 3 tons of food, fuel, and supplies for the Expedition 56 crew. Back to this view from the Progress itself, looking at the International Space Station, now just 560 meters or so away from its destination, closing at a rate of less than 2 meters per second. We should be moving into the point called the fly-around portion of this rendezvous operation. About 2 minutes or so from now, the fly-around will start at a range of about 400 meters, a 110-degree angle, to precisely align the forward docking probe on the Progress with the Piers docking compartment.
BPS initial.
Олег, уточнение, почему возникло сомнение, почему спрашивал про повторить?
Oleg, was there any concern?
По времени не уложился.
Why did you ask if we wanted to repeat the test? No, I just wanted to make sure that I was able to fit the test in a lot of time. I didn't have any concerns. I just wanted to see if you had any. No, we're all good. Continue on. Very good.
The International Space Station and the Progress 70 cargo craft are currently flying 260 statute miles over northwestern China, flying from northwest to southeast in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator. This has been a textbook approach so far by the Progress craft since its launch just about 3 hours and 20 minutes ago from the Baikonur Cosmodrome.
Selecting best picture.
Again, this view now of the Progress as it slowly but surely makes its way from beneath the station toward the Piers docking compartment, where it is expected to link up less than a half an hour from now.
Disabling operational mode.
Изменилось у нас изображение, пробую еще раз пересветкой.
And the visiting vehicle officer here in Mission Control reports that the fly-around is now underway. You'll see in this view, in this external cross-haired engineering camera, the motion, the relative motion between the Progress and the International Space Station that will ultimately result in an alignment of the forward docking probe with the Piers docking compartment. Piers was launched back in September of 2001 to serve both as a docking port for Russian vehicles as well as an airlock for Russian spacewalks.
I'll go ahead and continue fixing the video image if necessary, but report to us. To us, any change in enable, disable operation mode. Copy. Right now, range is 349 meters and 0.07 meters per second. Range rate. Copy. We are in auto fly around, so please continue monitoring the process. And for Sergey on Space to Ground 1, this is station flight control room. Please confirm that the recording has been started. We are recording at this time, Tatiana. Thank you very much, Sergey.
Было пропадание изображения кратковременное.
We lost the video image for a short time.
Once again, you're looking at the view from the Progress 70 cargo craft. Almost 3 tons of food, fuel, and supplies for the half-dozen residents of the International Space Station, now just 278 meters away from its Piers docking compartment docking port. The International Space Station closing in on the 20th anniversary of its first element launch, the Zarya module, back on November 20th, 1998.
We have a good quality image.
Пропадание изображения было.
Another image dropout.
На высоте 250 метров.
250 meters on the laptop, 0.3 meters per second range rate. Copy.
And an outstanding view of the Progress honing in on its final destination at the Piers docking compartment. It's in the process of completing the fly-around, moving into a position of station keeping for just a few moments to allow Russian flight controllers to assess the relative alignment of the forward docking probe on this resupply craft to the Piers docking compartment. The station keeping will occur at a range of about 195 meters or 639 feet away from Piers. Both craft flying over southeastern China.
На высоте 230 метров.
230 meters on laptop, 0 range rate. We copy.
The Progress is in the process of putting the brakes on for its short period of station keeping, some 200 meters away, closing at a rate of just over 1/10 of a meter per second over southeastern China, about to cross the coast of China on a trajectory that will take it just to the north of the Philippine Islands.
5 closing rate. 250 meters range. Copy.
Flight controllers at the Russian Mission Control Center indicating that the Progress has about 30 degrees of fly around remaining before it moves into its station keeping period. This view from the Progress as it completes its fly around. The vehicle that you see in the upper left-hand corner is the 69 Progress that is docked to the aft port of the Zvezda service module.
Fly around. And final approach.
And you can see almost in the crosshairs now the docking port on the Piers docking compartment.
Data match course data? Yes, it does. About 200 meters right now. Copy.
And the visiting vehicle officer now reports that we are in station keeping, so the Progress has completed its fly around and is stationary for...
All right, Oleg. We have received a go to set final approach flag on the Progress independently. So go ahead and select BPS initial from format 44. Copy. BPS initial operation and selecting format or display 44. Display 44. Final approach on station and final approach on Progress are set. Depots are on. Copy. Depots are firing. Disable.
And a breathtaking view of the Progress almost against the limb of the earth as it flies 260 miles over the Philippines.
7 meters on the left.
Final approach initiated. Everything in good shape so far.
And you are getting the video image from Vaco.
168 meters separating Progress and the Piers docking compartment.
Oleg, can you hear me? Yes, Mr. Slavyev, good evening. Good early morning. Very good. I just wanted to do a comm check with you, making sure that you can hear me. Copy. We have you very loud and very clear.
Through the translator, the chief flight director for the Russian flight control team, Vladimir Solovyev, offering good early morning greetings to his 2 Russian cosmonauts on board the station, Oleg Artemyev and Sergei Prokopyev, who are monitoring the final approach of Progress for its link up, now just 125 meters separating Progress and the Piers docking compartment.
That's expected.
клетки по угловым размерам. Примерно 90 метров.
2.5 squares on the overlay.
An almost surrealistic view of the Progress flying over the Philippines, moving from northwest to southeast through one of the new enhanced high-definition cameras on the outside of the International Space Station. The Progress less than 100 meters away from the Piers docking compartment.
Одна клетка по стыковочному узлу по угловым размерам где-то 70 метров.
About 70 meters, 77 meters on the VKU, on the laptop 90 meters range.
Меньше 90 не опускается пока.
And it's not going down on the laptop, so there is a difference in laptop and VKU data. But the range rate data match. On the laptop, it's 0.32 meters per second. Copy.
with just 67 meters separating the Progress from the Piers docking compartment. Once again, a fabulous view of the unpiloted resupply craft, which launched just 3.5 hours ago from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan in the final moments of a never-before accomplished two-orbit rendezvous to the International Space Station.
Operation mode enabled, and then will Arma command to retreat along the plus x-axis. Copy.
Угловым размером 50 метров примерно.
50 meters per overlay, which matches course data.
На высоте 69.
Left up shows 69 meters, so it's about 20-meter difference.
Принял.
Copy.
Полторы
48 meters separating the two craft.
1.5
Progress closing at a rate of about 1.5 meters per second.
docking interface, and that matches the course data. Copy.
An outstanding view of the Progress closing in for its docking. You can see on the right-hand portion of your screen one of the Ultraflex solar arrays on the Northrop Grumman Cygnus cargo craft, which tomorrow, all things being equal, will be used to reboost the station in a test objective with a 60-second burn of the Cygnus's delta velocity engine at 3:25 p.m. Central Time on Tuesday to test the reboost capability of that particular cargo craft that is bolted to the Earth-facing port of the Unity module of the International Space Station.
Getting close to 30 meters.
подошли к 30 метрам.
34 meters now separating Progress and the International Space Station.
У нас уже 30 метров по угловым размерам.
Course is a little behind, but based on the overlay assessment, we're at 30 meters now.
Подошли к 30.
Copy.
You can see the diamond-shaped docking target right underneath the docking port of the Piers docking compartment itself.
Go ahead and send.
It will come into perfect alignment with the crosshairs on this television view, thanks to the Corps' automated rendezvous system.
Operation confirmed and retreat along the plus x-axis enabled.
Есть
Copy and concur. And that's complete.
Переходим на страницу 24.
Let's go to page 24,
15 метров.
and we'll stand by for
От вот по плюс X остались гореть внутренние светодиоды 2.
range of 15 meters. Copy. And the
Принял.
two middle LEDs remain on.
Нам подтвердили, что это все нормально, все в порядке.
Copy and
This is a view from the high-definition external viewer camera showing the Progress closing in for its link up to the Piers docking compartment, just 24 meters separating Progress from its destination.
Наиболее комфортно.
The Progress and the International Space Station now crossing the west coast of New Guinea, about to move across the northeastern coast of Australia.
Не отключаем.
please do not disable operational mode after you're finished changing AGC modes. Copy, and I remember. Thank you for the reminder, though.
Ну что, Олег, нормально?
So all I Does it look okay?
Отлично идет пока.
Looks perfect. So far, so good.
Дальность небольшая, поэтому
Yeah, the range is
пересветку оставь в покое.
pretty close, so let's just leave AJC mode where it is.
Хорошо наблюдаю.
Yeah, we're not messing with it anymore. We're getting good stable image. Crosshairs are aligned, everything looks good.
Также мишень хорошо наблюдаем, видим, что крест совмещен.
And we see the crosshairs aligned as well, and very good visibility of the docking target.
Две клетки постыковочной мишени.
2 squares on the overlay. That's how much the docking interface is now taking up. It's just a little bit of a mismatch. Copy. 0.11 on the laptop for range rate.
Ten kilometers now separating Progress from the Piers docking compartment, closing at the proper rate of 1/10 of a meter per second.
Шли внутренний конус.
We're within the
Ближе 3 метров.
cone, closer than 3 meters at this time.
Принял.
Copy.
Four meters, standing by for contact and capture.
Вас понял, ожидаем косарь.
Copy. Standing by for contact and capture confirmed.
Contact confirmed, capture confirmed.
Принял касание, принял.
Copy. Contact and capture.
Docking confirmed at 8:31 p.m. Central Time, 9:31 p.m. Eastern Time, as Progress in the International Space Station flew 260 miles over the northern coast of Australia. A fast-track two-orbit rendezvous for Progress, setting another milestone in International Space Station history.
Олег, в принципе, можно послушать, как там жужжит, не жужжит.
Oleg, you can put your ear to it and see if you can hear whether it's buzzing or not. Okay, sir.
Ну, понятно, да, вы все.
You understand that you need to be in the DC-1 for that.
Сергей уже полетел.
Absolutely, Mr. Solovyev. Sergey is already on his way.
Once again, docking occurring over northern Australia after a textbook rendezvous of two orbits from the launch pad at the Baikonur Cosmodrome. Docking occurring at 8:31 p.m. Central, 9:31 p.m. Eastern Time. The relative motion between the Progress and the International Space Station now dampening out to set the stage for the retraction of the docking probe and the closing of the Progress hooks to form a hard mate.
You were coming kind of low.
Будем погромче.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Готовы к связи.
Absolutely, Mr. Vinogradov.
Так, доброй ночи, это Рогозин.
Top of the evening to you. This is Mr. Rogozin.
Доброй ночи, друзья.
Yes, so good to hear you, sir. Good to hear your voices, guys. Congratulations.
Я тоже хочу вас поздравить, в принципе,
Yeah, I wanted to say congratulations. I think it finally worked out for us.
Витковая наша схема.
We did it with the two-orbit approach and rendezvous.
Грузов, но вот с точки зрения...
This is pretty quick that we got these cargo items to you, and this is very promising in support of our upcoming plans, both for the current programs and the programs of the future. So this is definitely a giant step forward. Yeah, no doubt.
Дай Бог, чтобы дальше так.
Yeah, we've been waiting for this milestone for a long time, and hopefully this will become the rule of thumb from here on out.
Сергей, я что хочу сказать, значит, там
Oleg,
то, что мы обещали, я и послал. Имейте
I just wanted to say that I made good on my promises for cameras and everything else.
общался, можно будет это тоже использовать на...
So hopefully all the stuff that we put on this Progress for you will come in handy and will be useful as far as providing extra footage of you re-entering and landing, as we talked about just several days ago.
Спасибо.
Sure. Thank you so very much.
Спасибо. И очень приятно.
That's so nice and so good to hear and so good to know. Yeah, on behalf of all of our teams, congratulations. And feel free to give me a call anytime you need anything, okay, guys?
Спасибо.
Thank you. Likewise, congratulations are in order for everyone, everybody who's there with you, and everybody who made this happen today. This is definitely a remarkable milestone, and congratulations. Thank you so much. It's a good day for all of us. Cheers. Take care. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
The chief Russian flight director, Vladimir Solovyev, speaking to Oleg Artemyev and Sergei Prokopyev, the two Russian cosmonauts on board the International Space Station, congratulating them, and the two cosmonauts congratulating Solovyev in turn for this milestone achievement of a two-orbit rendezvous that Solovyev said would pave the way for expedited delivery of cargo and crew members in the future, not only for the station but for future programs. A great view of the progress as it flies directly over Brisbane, Australia. Again, docking occurring at 8:31 p.m. Central, 9:31 p.m. Eastern Time, less than 4 hours after the Progress was launched on its Soyuz booster from the Baikonur Cosmodrome.
We went through a quick handover. Baikonur.
Суд Москвы МКС Ковалев Гадин.
Moscow Station, Space to Ground 1.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Так, прерывание связи было, что-то говорили, спрашивали?
Were you asking something or saying something?
Байконур вызывали, это не мы.
Yeah, that was Baikonur calling us. Nothing to do with you or us.
Так, наши действия.
Any action on our behalf?
Пока контролируем по частям.
And the visiting vehicle officer here in Mission Control, Tom Erkenswick, now confirms that the Progress hooks are closed, forming a hard mate between the Progress and the Piers docking compartment.
Copy.
This will set the stage now for a few hours of leak checks by the cosmonauts on their side of the docking interface before the hatch to the Progress resupply craft is scheduled to be open just after 11 p.m. Central Time in the wee hours of Tuesday morning Eastern Time.
Олег, 7:05 это ДМ было время.
Oh, like that 7:05 call, that was Moscow decree time. Yes, we understand who this is coming from and what time that's in.
У нас тут все написано.
And plus, we've got everything on paper.
3 времени.
3 different timestamps.
По вашим указаниям готовы отключить потоковое видео.
Ready to shut down video streaming on your go.
This is Mission Control Houston. You're looking at the newly arrived Progress 70 cargo ship, which made an expedited delivery run from its launch pad of the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan to a textbook and flawless docking to the Piers docking compartment just a few minutes ago at 8:31 p.m. Central Time, 9:31 p.m. Eastern Time, culminating a two-orbit rendezvous for the first time in International Space Station history, a milestone achievement that was hailed by the chief Russian flight director Vladimir Solovyev as well as space station program officials, this coming on the third attempt to accomplish this feat following two previous launch postponements that scuttled this particular effort to reach the station in this short amount of time. So with the Progress safely linked up now to the Piers docking compartment, the Russian cosmonauts on board the station will conduct leak checks to make sure that we have an airtight seal at the docking interface before they open the Progress hatch and begin to unload the first of 2.8 tons of cargo delivered for the Expedition 56 crew on board the International Space Station. As the station in progress travel from northwest to southeast, approaching New Zealand, we will wrap up our broadcast. We thank you for joining us throughout the course of the afternoon and the evening. Once again, Progress 70, safely pulling into port at the Piers docking compartment to wrap up an historic two-orbit rendezvous. This is Mission Control Houston.